for this noble idea. Where all global educators, where all global leaders come to meet, discuss, and share on different topics which affect us. Today, this CPD is on educational games as a learning method. It is series number 21, and we still have some more. You can check on IDYM Facebook and YouTube's and the website on IDYM Foundations if you want to see the other series that we have done. So we can all agree with me that the schools need to diversify their ways of teaching in order to meet the needs of this generation. A good example for us, which we continue to go back, is the shutting down of physical schooling because of lockdown as a result of COVID-19. This brought schools to teach online, and they had to vary their methods of teaching in order to remove the monotony of using the traditional methods since we're now going online. So some used game-based learning and gamification to spice up and making learning interesting. So incorporating games was seen to be highly effective, as it also encouraged student motivation. You can also agree with me that there are so many ways which we can use for our teaching and learning, and educational games were incorporated as a teaching method where teachers use games to define and support learning activities or learning outcomes. And we know that learning can be facilitated. It can be improved by use of games, where students are allowed to engage with different educational materials in a playful and dynamic way. And as teachers, they also use games sometimes to reach their specific learning objectives. Depending on the objectives that they want to achieve that day, they may use games. And they can also be used, games for intervention purposes, whereby you see that this method that I'm using for my child is not working. I can also incorporate games and use games for intervention purposes. And some use them for enrichment purposes to add on to the different methods that they have. And some people use them for reinforcement, to reinforce the matter that they've taught. They can make use of games. So before using games, sometimes we ask ourselves what the problem is. Is it intervention? Is it enrichment? Is it for reinforcement? And you think of other what activities you can help to create maybe the change that you want to see in a child. Or so when you are using games, you make use of why are you using games? When do you want to use games? How are you using games? Which games are you going to use? And I hope today all those questions will be answered by our erudite speakers that I'm going to introduce very soon. So what is the role of games in education? This is what we should ask ourselves as we are listening to our great speakers today. So our first speaker today is Shavari Govante, who is a principal, and she has got a postgraduate in English literature from Pune University, and she's a holder of a master's degree in education. And she has been in the education field for 17 years of teaching, and both teaching and administrative. So we are talking about someone who has experience, maybe who has seen it all. And at present, she is heading a teacher education institution of repute. Besides being the principal of St. Mary's Junior College of Education, she has also headed the module for foundation literacy at Drishit, and Mrs. Govande is an advisory board member of 2 prominent schools in Pune. So today we are going to listen to her so that we know the importance of games in education. She also conducts in-service training programs. Like 2 days ago, we're talking about the school development, leadership development programs that schools can introduce. So she also conducts one of it, which is the in-service training programs for schools and colleges, as she enjoys teaching English. She has so many awards that she has won. She's the recipient of Guru Award of 2021. And besides that, she has authored many short stories that have been published in leading newspapers and magazines. She has been invited as a panelist, as a speaker, and she has also, on her credit, research papers that she has published in educational journals. And through with various teaching methodologies, she has equipped teachers with methodologies of teaching at pre-primary, primary, secondary, higher secondary, and bachelors of education. So Miss Govande, sorry, she has a lot of experience, especially on use of teaching methodologies, and I don't want to spoil her talk today. Over to you. We welcome you, ma'am, Shavari Govande. I hope I'm pronouncing correctly your name. Welcome to IDYM platform. Over to you.
A very good evening to a respected Patricia Gonte Madam, Dr. Imam A. Alam, Laura Stanshu Madam, and even our host for the day, the very versatile, the very dynamic Ravisa. Warm greetings from Maharashtra,
no, ma'am,
from
actually,
India.
I'm not the host. The host is Denul Asmi.
Oh, the host. Okay, so greetings to Denul Asmi.
She's the only host for all the event of IDY.
Lovely, lovely. So warm greetings to this young dynamic lady too. And it's a pleasure to be a part of the IYDM family, a family that I have been very recently associated with. And it's really my pleasure and my honor to be on this forum. Thank you, Patricia, ma'am, for that wonderful introduction. And yes, you did pronounce my name correctly. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yes, so ma'am has very rightly in the beginning spoken about the importance of educational games as a learning method. As trained teachers, we are very familiar with the usual methods of teaching. It could be at the pre-primary, it could be for the secondary, or even for the higher secondary. So I think a week back or so, we did have on this very forum a panel discussion on various teaching methodologies. But as teachers, have we ever thought about having educational games as a learning method? We are aware about it. We are very much aware about it. We also know that games can really change the dynamics of the classroom. So much of learning can happen with simple games that can be employed in the classroom. And like Patricia ma'am also mentioned, yes, we will from the part of the teachers, there would be some kind of resources that we will have to tap on. Yes, so from the teacher's role is getting those resources, finding a time, being a little creative, being a little inventive, and more importantly being passionate, thinking about, let me just think out of the box, let me do something different in the class. Can I just break the monotony of the class? How about having a little game in the class wherein the children will enjoy, not only enjoy, but even it will help me to fulfill my learning outcome. It will also help them to learn something which will be very effective, which will be a learning which is long lasting, because I have used a simple game in the class to teach a concept. So what I'm going to do today is I would be sharing a few games which can be employed by the teacher in the classroom. Games or activities which will not need a lot of planning, a lot of tapping of lot of resources, a little bit of planning from the teacher's side, a little getting things organized, and it you'll be surprised with the kind of the kind of results that it shows. So we all of us are aware that, because I, like ma'am introduced me, I'm a language teacher, so I'm going to focus more on language games. We know the four skills of learning a language. We know the order. It is listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So what I am going to do is I'm going to focus on one skill as of now, which is reading. Of course, with the time constraint, it is really not possible to cover a lot of games. So I'm just going to touch a few important practical games that the teacher can really employ in her class. So when it comes to reading, I'm not even talking about teaching reading and how reading can be taught using games, but I'm focusing more on the pre-reading skills of the children. So once the teacher is able to understand the pre-reading skills of the children, she needs to inculcate certain interesting games or activities to develop reading readiness in the children. So that is what my focus is as of now. I'm talking about developing reading readiness and what kind of activities or games can you have in the class. So it's very important that you enrich the child's background experience, right? So, one way in which children's readiness for reading can be cultivated is through the extension of their experience. I'm sure all of us will agree to it. The school should continue to open new worlds of experience to all children. Now, the important thing that we need to keep in mind are the needs of the children and the resources available. So, here are two, three games that I'm going to share with you, particularly games that involve the senses. Now, like for example, the first one that I'm going to share is about using a feely box or a bag. I'm talking, so now, right now, I'm focusing. My presentation is going to be in two parts. I'm going to focus on the primary section initially and then move on to the higher classes about how games can be used for the primary classes and then move on to the higher classes. So, for the feely box or a feely bag, what is a feely bag? A feely bag is a bag with an elastic or a drawstrings where various objects are kept in this bag. Objects which are not very harmful to the children. So it could be cotton, it could be toothbrush, it could be sponge. It could be a variety of objects that are kept in this feely bag or this feely box. Now, as the name suggests, it says feely, right? Now, what the child has to do is, without seeing, has to put his hand inside the feely bag or the box, feel the objects, and describe. Now this feely bag can be used for a variety of curriculum. If it's math, how about shapes or properties of objects? A feely bag also helps in the development of language, because now the child is feeling, so he's describing the object. What is the role of the teacher? The role of the teacher is to write down the description on the board, and then in the end the child pulls out the object, and just to see whether whatever the description the child was giving, whatever the way he was describing, whether the object is the correct object as per his description. It's a very interesting game. We've tried it in our colleges, because when you're training the students, even the adults enjoyed it, because that interest is there, that enthusiasm is there, what is there in the bag. So a very interesting game, very easily it can be, it doesn't need a lot of planning, with objects which are easily available. The second thing which can really enrich the child's background of experience and prepare him for reading is playing a smelling game. So, the teacher has to identify aromatic objects which are tied in small, thin cloth bags. So such as pieces of maybe bananas, fresh orange peels, apples. So various aromatic objects, and the child smells it, again describes it in his own words. So something again which the children really enjoy and have a good time with this smelling game, as we very well call it. Then, in addition, there's another game that can be played in the class, playing a game with prepositions by trying to identify the various positions of an object. So, in a classroom, you can have a box, or even if it's a table that you have in the classroom, let's make use of that table. Have something that the children will enjoy seeing. So, maybe a soft toy. Use that same soft toy to demonstrate the various prepositions or the positions of an object. The teddy bear is on the table, under the table, beside the table, right? Or if it's a box, in the box. So various prepositions can be actually demonstrated in the classroom. So you do not have to go with a lot of theory. A very interesting way. A lot of variations can be done in this. Now, after the teacher demonstrates, the physical participation of the children can also be sought. Let the children come ahead. Let them also demonstrate the various prepositions with an object of their choice, right? So this again breaks the monotony of the class, and the entire class is involved. Moving ahead is developing vocabulary is again very important aspect when it comes to reading readiness. So I'm going to share two games with you all. The first one is play sentence building. Again, a very interesting game for the little ones. Play sentence building. So someone in the group or someone in the class makes up a very simple sentence. Example, I lost my dog. So someone else asks, where did you lose him? So a chain of question and answers follows where different children are involved. So this was one game, play sentence building. Now another game for developing the vocabulary is where when I'm sharing this, I have also tried this particular game that I'm sharing. I've tried this in the class. It's very interesting. It's very fun. So have the children hide an object in some distant part of the classroom. Then tell their partner. Now what they have to do is they have to tell their partners where they have hidden it. But now the only thing is, or the only hitch in this game is no pointing is allowed. So it is a lot of verbal description that goes on. Of course, the class becomes a little chaotic, but it's fun. It's fun because then you're really focusing on developing the vocabulary, developing their language, and the children are not even realizing it. They're having their own fun playing these games, but the teacher knows that she is achieving her objectives and she can really measure her learning outcomes. Now, among the most important prerequisites for successful reading are the ability to differentiate between sounds of words and sounds of letters, and the ability to see the difference between written words and letters. And therefore, auditory discrimination is very important. So, some of the ways in which auditory discrimination can be developed during the pre-reading period consists of having pupils do one of the things that I'm going to share with you. Again, a game for auditory discrimination, which is playing a game called I Spy, S-E-Y, I Spy. Okay. So in this game, the pupils guess what object a child refers to in a statement. So there is a class, you call a child in the front, and you play the game I Spy. The child who comes in the front has to make a sentence, and the other children have to guess. For example, he or she, the child says, I spy something that begins with the same sound as Mary. Or I spy something that ends with the same sound as took. So now, and the children, they guess what the child is spying. What is the child referring to? Of course, the teacher's role here is the teacher will have to, because we are dealing with the little ones, the teacher will have to help them with the framing of the sentences and give them a little hints and be a facilitator. And again, the class really enjoys this game called I Spy. So moving ahead, method. Now that we've finished with, I've just shared a few games with you about making the children ready for reading. We are going to move ahead, and I'm going to share with you, just there are many methods of teaching reading. It's the phonic method, the sentence method, the look and say method. I'm not going to focus on those methods because that is not our topic for today. So to stick to our topic, moving ahead, about how we can use a game for teaching, right? Teaching what? Teaching reading. So, like I said, one of the methods for teaching reading is the sentence method, right? So, in this method, the sentence is taken as a unit of approach because it expresses one's complete thought, and later the sentence is split into words, right? So, you're going to talk about word recognition. Let us see what game can we play with the children, so that so there are many interesting games for word recognition which may be developed, and here is one suggestion from my side. So if two sentences are very similar, the children can be asked which words are the same in each sentence and which are different. Example, this is a flower. That's sentence number 1. And sentence number 2, this is a tree. So, obviously, as adults, it's very easy for us, right? But like I said, what I'm talking right now is focusing on the pre-primary and the primary children. So, when you're giving these two sentences to them, they have to recognize. It's basically, like I said, word recognition. They have to recognize which words are similar and which words are different. So obviously, as adults, we've understood this is similar, and tree and flower are different words. So locating the words, right? The teacher can ask children to point to the words. This, then is, then are similar, and flower and tree are different. Now moving ahead, spellings, right? I know it has been growing up for most of us, learning spellings has been a little, it has been a task, and a list of words, 50 words, 60 words, learn over the weekend, and how difficult it is to learn those spellings. But how if we have some kind of spelling games and make the class interesting? And so you're also playing, and the children are also learning they're also learning spellings of different words. So the teaching of spelling is a difficult part of a subject. So some people maintain that there should be no systematic teaching of spelling, but that pupils should pick up spellings, as they go along. In other words, they say that spellings should be caught and not taught. So while some others advocate learning spelling rules and learning list of words, so there are some pupils who have a good visual memory, and therefore they find it easier to learn the spelling. But then this is not the case with all. So let us see a few spelling games that can be utilized, that can be employed in the class by the teacher. So I'm just going to these games that I'm going to share with you all. We are familiar, so I'm not going to go in the nitty-gritties about how they are and how do they play. So the first one is crossword with clues. Very, very interesting game for the children to learn spellings. The second one is word maze with clues. Then find words in the dictionary. Now, a lot of variations can be done for this. Either the children can work in pairs, or you can have a competition in the classroom where you divide the class into 2 rows or 3 rows, whatever, And now, if it's in pairs, for example, if it's in pairs, the first child gives a list of words to his or her partner. The child has to find those words in the dictionary in a given set of time, right? So whichever child finds the maximum words in that given space of time, in the given set of time, is the winner. So something like this, of course, the teacher can be very innovative, can bring a lot of variations to this game, particular game. So the children are learning, not only getting familiar with the words, they're learning, because they're seeing the words, they're also learning the spellings. If they're very familiar with phonics, they're also learning the pronunciation of the words because they're handling the dictionary. Another game that can be played in the class to learn spellings is, one, again, a lot of variations. I'm just giving you an idea. The variations can be taught by every individual teacher. So one child calls the word, another child spells it. Very simple. Have it in a form of competition in the class. Give them points. They are enjoying it. They love it. They really have a lot of fun doing that. One game that I particularly liked as a student was, wherein making words from a bigger word. So making small words from a big word. So put up a nice, now depending on the level that you are handling, whether it's a primary class, it's a middle school, or it's a high school, you have to really, the teacher has to kind of decide what word is she going to put on the board. So if it's the little ones, maybe class 2 or class 3, let's say you put a word teacher on the board and tell them to make smaller words from this word teacher. Tell them 2-letter words are allowed, 3-letter words are allowed. If it's a higher class, tell them I'm not accepting any 2-letter words. This has to be 3-letter words and above. So whichever group or whichever child makes the maximum words is the winner, right? Again, a very interesting game. So when I'm sharing all these games, I know it becomes very difficult because as teachers, we think when am I going to do all this with 32 periods in a week, and I have my syllabus to finish. The curricula is so vast. But then if you really, but then if you have that passion and you really want to do something differently, nothing can stop a teacher. So these games can be even used as an attention getter in the beginning of the class, right? So before you come to your main topic, just to get your attention, play a small language game. You're not only getting their attention, they're also learning something. Because, or if you can even find one period, just one period in a month to play these games with the children, it's going to give you fantastic results. Not only are they going to love the teacher, they're going to look forward to seeing you in the class because you're that one teacher who ensures that they have a lot of fun and they're learning also in a very interesting manner. So, but yes, like I said, as a teacher, we have to think and we have to have the passion. What is that additional or what is that extra thing that I'm giving to the children? So I would like to encourage all the teachers who are watching this. Please, let's have that passion rekindled, and let's think what we can do differently. I know it is planning, organizing, and we're like, who's going to sit and do all this? Just let me go teach in the regular method. But I think we are, because of the children. So let's do something for them. This is what I would really encourage. um, I'm just going to need 4-5 minutes more. I'm going to share I have around 5 more games that I'm going to share, again related to language.
It's okay.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Nouns. Again, coming to nouns. So what you can do is the teacher can have a PowerPoint. She can display the words on the PowerPoint. Nouns. I'm talking about nouns, right? She makes a child sit on a chair just the way I am sitting. The child cannot see the word which is displayed on the screen, which is behind. Now, the children in the class can see the word. Now, what the children in the class have to do is they have to describe that word which is shown on the PowerPoint, and the child sitting on the chair has to guess the word. So, this is again a game for language development. Now, what happens is why am I sharing? So, now these games that I'm sharing with you are games specifically meant for language development. For most, these are the challenges that I faced. A lot of children who come to schools and colleges, English is not their mother tongue, right? They do not have exposure to the language. They come from vernacular backgrounds. And then when they're learning a foreign language, they're learning a language which they are not familiar with, they sometimes hesitate to even speak in the class. What if I make a mistake? What if I make some grammatical error? So then when you are as a teacher playing these games in the class, that hesitation will naturally go. The children will be more comfortable, and you're also ensuring that their language is developing. So this PowerPoint game is a very interesting game. You don't need much to do. You just need to have a few slides with just nouns written on it, and see the kind of response that is evoked in the class. It's amazing. Now, for the same game where you used a PowerPoint, you can still tweak it a little bit. We can bring slightly more variations. Have groups of children. You know, in a group, around 4 to 5 children have various groups in the class. So for every group, give them stacks of papers where nouns are written. One person picks up a chit, right? He reads the noun. Now, what he does is he doesn't share what that noun is with his group mates. Now, he or she describes the noun, and the other students have to guess it. Now, whichever child from the group guesses the noun gets that card. Now, in the end, whichever child gets the maximum cards is the winner, because that is the child who has guessed the maximum nouns. So, see a little variation in the same game that I initially mentioned about the PowerPoint. The third game for language development is a descriptive drawing activity. So, this can be done in pairs. 2 children, each child is given a drawing. Okay, is given not a drawing as such, a picture. The picture is put face down on their desks, so the partner cannot see the drawing. So what I have to do is I have to describe my drawing to my partner, and my partner draws that as per the description that I have given her. Now again, we can tweak it a little bit. When the children have finished drawing, ask them to color and display it in the classroom. Oh, they would love to see their work of art. So not only are so all these games that I'm sharing with you all encourages the child to speak, helps him in his using the target language in his conversations, otherwise which he would not do. I don't know whether we can call it a game, but debates. I've had a wonderful time having debates in the middle school and in the higher classes. Give them a nice controversial statement. So the last time I had a debate in the class, I gave them a statement: should mobile phones be allowed in the classroom, or should students carry their mobile phones to the classroom? And you give each child like a placard which says agree or disagree. When the teacher reads out the sentence, the child, whatever his opinion is, puts up his placard, agree or disagree. Give the child a chance to speak why he agrees to the proposition or why he disagrees to it. Teacher's role is again, of course, putting down the main points on the board, and towards the end, kind of, give a nice conclusion, considering what the people who agree have to say and what the people who disagreed have to say. Again, a very interesting, lively environment is created in the class, and a very healthy debate takes place. Of course, the teacher really has to ensure that with all the arguments and the counter arguments, there are no verbal fights which really takes place, but it's fun, it's interesting. And the last, Neelam ma'am, may I request to put your audio on mute? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And the last game for language development is again an interesting game called JAM. JAM. So this game means just a minute. Again, it can be played in 2 groups. The teacher will have a list of topics. Now, every child is just given a minute to speak on that topic. So this is impromptu. This is impromptu speaking. The moment the teacher says the topic or reads out the topic, the child has to speak on the topic for a minute. Now, for us, oh, it's just a minute. But when you when you have to speak, that minute sounds like unending. It's like looks like a big long hour. So now the teacher declares the topic. The child has to speak for a minute. Now, what is the role of the other students or the other group? If you're doing it in, if you're dividing the class into 2 groups, the other group has to be a little attentive and point out if there are any grammatical errors when the child is talking. And if they notice a grammatical error or a grammatical error in the sentence structure, they shout out "jam." So now, so within a minute, the moment the team, the opponent team says "jam," the speaker has to stop because he or she has made an error, and the error is pointed out to the teacher, and then the teacher can rectify or say, yes, this is the grammatical error that you made. This is how the sentence had to be framed. Or she can say, no, that was right. That was all right. There was no error. And the speaker continues. So this is impromptu speaking. And the game is called Jam, Just a Minute. So to conclude, thank you so much. I have shared there are a variety of games. I have only focused on language and on reading skills and developing language skills. But then for other subjects, math, science, there are a variety of games, but because that is not my forte, I cannot really speak on those. But encouraging all the teachers, all the educators to ensure that we make our classrooms interesting and engaging. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. What a thought-provoking session, and it's always it was a pleasure to listen to you, where you were sharing the different games that we can use. You've answered my question where I was saying, where do we play, how do we play, which games, and also you especially you touched on languages. You are a language teacher. Where teachers can use different games for reading readiness, for language development, for vocabulary building, sentence building, and also for spellings. It was quite amazing, especially sometimes people say that we don't teach spellings, but I think we should impart in children, especially the phonetics that are involved when you are doing spelling, and the games that you mentioned, the word maze, you mentioned finding words in a dictionary, and then also that children, it can be used as a competition, especially with children. Someone calls it out, someone writes it, and it seems you have touched mostly on everything. Why do we use games, especially the games that you mentioned to us for critical thinking, and then thinking outside the box? And we are also testing auditory discrimination, where you use the game I spy with my little eye, a word that begins with k, and then some children can easily tell that word. And then you also used talk to us about the importance of games, especially for children, for reinforcement, and as an entry ticket to a lesson where you want to provoke their attention, where you want to catch their attention. Thank you so much for that, ma'am. Now, thank you for coming today. And we have learned so many nuggets that we have written down. I think everyone can agree with me that you touched a lot of areas. Now I'm going to introduce to you my next speaker, who is from Romania. Our next speaker, Laura Stanciu, is a teacher at Superior School of Commerce, Nicolae Krechulescu from Romania. She is a translator and an author of a book. She has participated in e-twinning and Erasmus programs with other schools in different countries. She is a speaker. I've listened to her speak, and I've also seen her presentations. I can't wait for a presentation. She has been a speaker. She has been a moderator in international conferences and in events. Besides that, she's an SDG ambassador, Sustainable Development Goals ambassador. She has won so many global educationist awards. She's the director of IDYM for Europe. And besides that, she is a brand ambassador for Babat International Publications. Then Laura Stanciu is also an ambassador of Caligal Books brand, where they say all lives exist. Over to you, Laura Stanciu. We welcome you to IDYM. We are not a new person in IDYM, as you are the director of Europe. We can't wait to hear what you have brought for us today. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Mrs. Patricia, for this wonderful presentation. And thank you, IDYM, for giving me this opportunity to be here today and to present my views on educational games as a learning method. It is very, very important, and I believe it is one of the best ways we can use to make students love what we are teaching. Please let me know if my slides are moving.
Yes, they are moving.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's get to the point of today's wonderful session, gamification in education. Because I believe that a teacher's mission is to inspire the students, to motivate them, and to bring the best qualities that they have in themselves, to bring them forward, to help them discover their talents, to encourage students to reach their true potential and to empower them, and always to make them want to learn more. So for this, we need knowledge, but also enthusiasm and the love for what we do, and the ability and talent to do this in a way that attracts students. And I would like to begin with a quote by psychologist and child development theorist Jean Piaget, who had a great contribution in this field. Our real problem is, what is the goal of education? Are we forming children that are only capable of learning what is already known? Or should we try developing creative and innovative minds, capable of discovery from the preschool age on throughout life? And I think that gamification, using games in our teaching process, is a way to make them a lot more creative and to make the educational process more innovative. Play-based learning. This is how we first learn about the world, through games, through exploring the world with the eyes of a child who only can do this by games. Children possess a natural curiosity to explore the world around them, and playing acts as a medium to do so. Children are naturally motivated to play. A play-based program builds on this motivation, using it as a context for learning. In this framework, children can explore, experiment, discover, and solve problems in imaginative and playful ways. They can also expand their executive function skills by practicing their ability to retain information. Learning through play is a term used in education and psychology to describe how a child can learn to make sense of the world around them. Through play, children can develop their social and cognitive skills. They can mature emotionally and gain the self-confidence required to engage in new experiences and environments. As educators, we know that using the students' passions to engage them in learning is critical, and kids love games. All students love games. No matter how young or old they are, they love playing. And let's admit it, us adults also love playing different games. Maybe we are talking about video games. Done right, gaming and gamification can engage both intrinsic motivation, which deals with the pleasure we feel and the fulfillment when we complete a task, and extrinsic motivation, which deals with recognition and rewards that we receive. The gamification theory in education is that learners learn best when they are also having fun. Not only this, but they also learn best when they have goals, targets, and achievements to reach for. Of course, in a way that the learner still perceives as fun. So if we give students a task that they have to do, and we do this in the form of a game, of a challenge that they have to do in order, for example, to take points, it will be for them a lot more fun than just giving them a worksheet, a normal task or homework. So what is exactly gamification in education? Is the use of game design elements and game rules in non-game contexts. For example, in-game rules such as acquiring virtual points, for example, stars or other currency, anything that can motivate them. And completing series of tasks or activities to advance to the next level may be used in contexts other than gaming to provide fun and stimulation for the learner. Gamification can also be defined as a set of activities and processes to solve problems by using the characteristics of game elements. Whilst typical game elements are by no means new, they have indeed become increasingly common in non-game contexts, such as website, digital marketing, enterprise applications, and even virtual to-do lists and productivity tools. And if you have apps installed on your phone, for example, you will see that whenever you complete a task, for example, you walk a certain number of steps, which is a task that you have to do for an application that takes care of your health. You will receive a badge, you will receive a star, and it will motivate you to keep going. And of course, education is one area where gamification is highly prevalent. And we need, as educators, to understand the value of play. When students engage in real life and imaginary activities, play can challenge their thinking. Children learn best through first-hand experiences, and the playing motivates, stimulates, and supports children in their development of skills, concepts, language acquisition, communication skills, and concentration. During play, children use all of their senses. They must convey their thoughts and emotions, explore their environment, and connect what they already know with new knowledge, skills, and attitudes. It is in the context of play that children test out new knowledge and theories. They reenact experiences to solidify understanding. And it is here where children first learn and express symbolic thought, a necessary precursor to literacy. Play is the earliest form of storytelling. And it is how children learn how to negotiate with peers, how to solve problems, and how to improvise. Through play, basic social skills like sharing and taking turns are learned and practiced. Children also bring their own language, customs, and culture into play. And as an added benefit, they learn about their peers in the process. Involvement in play stimulates a child's drive for exploration and discovery. This motivates the child to gain mastery over their environment, promoting focus and concentration. It also enables the child to engage in the flexible and higher level thinking processes deemed essential for the 21st century learner. These include inquiry processes of problem solving, analyzing, evaluating, applying knowledge, and creativity. So let's think outside the box. Finally, play supports positive attitudes towards learning. These include imagination, curiosity, enthusiasm, and persistence. The type of learning processes and skills fostered in play cannot be replicated through traditional learning, where the emphasis is on remembering facts. When students play games that involve strategy, they have an opportunity to make plans and then to adjust those plans in response to what happens during gameplay. This engages other critical executive function skills like inhibitory control, cognitive flexibility, and working memory. Teachers can provide opportunities for students to build their executive function skills through meaningful social interactions and fun games. Play-based learning is an important way to develop active learning. Active learning means using your brain in lots of ways. When children play, they explore the world and build on their understanding of the natural and social environment around them. They build language skills, which develop content knowledge. Cooperative experiences provide children the opportunity to cultivate social skills, competencies, and the disposition to learn. Playing also builds self-esteem. Children are most receptive to learning during play and exploration, and are generally willing to persist in order to learn something new or solve a problem. The experience of successfully working through something new or challenging helps kids gain the self-confidence required to engage in new experiences and environments. Interpersonal skills like listening, negotiating, and compromising are challenging for students of all ages and help their social development. Through play, children get to practice social and language skills, think creatively, and gather information about the world through their senses. Think about the games that students come up with on their own. They are creative, often intricate, and the rules always have to be negotiated. So what motivates students to turn into gamers during classes? Action. If they are given objectives, they will love accomplishing them. Social aspect, the competition, mastery, scoring, and of course, receiving awards. And this is a sense of achievement. Immersion in the game. When they become a character and they get engaged in role playing, they can really feel that thing that is being taught. They can internalize that information and become a certain character. And this also helps their personality. And of course, creativity, because they can customize the game. They can turn it into something new every time they play. As teachers, we need to adapt the game that we choose. Games should be adapted so that every student can take part in the game. And we need to keep in mind that there are types of students: visual, auditory, kinesthetic students. So some of them need to see in order to learn. Others need to hear. Others need to read to write, and there are students who need to move in order to learn that specific information. So if I may give an example, if it's about a word that they need to find an explanation for, some students need to read the definition, others need to write it. So maybe we could have a contest where students look for the information in the dictionary, like a team. So some student in the team looks for the information, another student runs to the board and writes it down. Let's see who is the fastest. So we can involve students keeping in mind their personal abilities. And always we need to give students a chance to take part in the game. Even the students who are not very good at that subject, let's give them a task to complete. We need to use a variety of challenges for that. And we need to consider the level, the needs of the students, the subject being taught, and of course the materials that we will need to use during the game. So we need to turn the classroom into a world of imagination and fun. And these are some ideas of games. For example, the quest. For this game, the teacher has to give the students some challenges, and the students have to negotiate between themselves the best ways to solve those challenges in order, for example, to get to a treasure. Something like you are in a dark forest and you are face to face with a pack of wolves, and these are the only items that you possess. Let's see, how can we use these items to get past the wolves, or many other ideas. And they have to use their imagination. They have to communicate with each other during this game. And of course, the whole class has to see if the given solution was good or not. And let's see if they can accept the solution given by the students. Otherwise, they have to, again, rethink that specific solution. Yes or no is another game that I like, and it encourages students to communicate. The teacher presents a situation, and the students have to develop a story based on deciding if that situation is true or false. And if it's false, they have to provide an alternative. For example, let's imagine that we are making a story about a certain character, let's say a princess, and she lives in a castle. Where is that castle? It's in a forest. Is it in a forest? And the students have to say, yes, it's in a forest, or no, it's in a garden. All right, then we have to change the whole story. Everything changes if the students say no, and they have to continue the story. Then the next group has to see where they can stop the story and change something. It was a sunny day. No, it was windy. It was cloudy. It was raining. Okay, let's change the whole story and see where can we go. And this is a really fun activity for students. It always makes them laugh, and it's great fun. A way to play with smaller children would be guess the word, but not only with smaller students, because we can use this for all levels. Depending on the level of the students, we can increase the difficulty of the words. And for this, we need like sort of charades. The students can choose if they want to mime the word, if they want to use a definition for the word, if they want to use certain sounds or gestures to represent that certain word. And this helps improve the vocabulary and also makes students think about how to best define a word or how to express a certain word through gestures. And a similar game is 20 questions. I guess everyone knows it. It's a very fun game. We need to guess a word based on 20 questions, which can only be answered with yes or no. And it can be about person, it can be about an animal, it can be about anything in the world. And this makes it suitable for many levels. Another game is describing something using the senses. So using sight, smell, touch, hearing. So we choose a place and the students have to use all their senses in order to describe it and to bring as many details as possible into that description. Another game would be role play, and this is one of my favorite because I always try to encourage students towards theater, towards expressing their feelings through interpreting a role. And this, besides giving them knowledge about language, about that particular subject, also offers them, makes them more empathic, makes them more friendly and open-minded. The Alien is a fun game, in which students have to explain a very simple fact to an alien that doesn't know anything about the world. So they have to use their imagination in order to explain something really easy, such as making a sandwich, because the alien would keep asking question, what is bread, what is cheese, what is, and they have to come up with all the definitions for these things. The living picture is one of my favorite games, which means that the students look at a picture such as this one, and they have to identify the elements, the castle, the clouds, the river. Then they assign roles to the other students in the class or in their group. For example, someone can be the castle or the river based on certain characteristics such as their kindness, their ability for something. For example, a person can be the castle because that person is very strong, or a girl can be the swan because she's very delicate. Then, based on these characteristics, they have to create a story and they have to be the characters in the story. And this, again, is great for imagination. And one of the things that I like doing towards the end of a class is the race. The race can be used for any subject at any point in the lesson. So the questions that the teacher usually asks are in the form of a race. So the student, in order to advance, the students have to answer those questions correctly. So each correct answer gets a point, and they have to race to see which one can guess all the answers, can get all the answers right and win the race. These are just some examples of games. There are so many more. And here I wanted to show you how games can be used in stories. This is a platform that I discovered. It is called Elementary, and it allows students to write stories and to add graphics and movement and voices to their stories. So they also use coding. They can code interactions to create their stories. So this is just one of the means used to make writing more interesting. These are there are lots and lots of apps that educators can use in their teaching process. And I think everyone knows Kahoot and Duolingo. And this is an app, for example, that records, that is trying to help the environment by recording what students are doing in their daily lives that can help the environment. And to conclude, the benefits of using gamification in the classroom are that students feel like they have ownership over their learning. It creates a more relaxed atmosphere in regards to failure, since learners can simply try again. It brings fun to the classroom. Learning becomes visible through progress indicators. Students may uncover an intrinsic motivation for learning, their own motivation for learning. They can explore different identities through different avatars or characters. They are more comfortable in gaming environments, so they are more proactive and open to making mistakes. They are not afraid to make mistakes because in the game, they are not themselves, they are a character, an avatar. Higher engagement and concentration levels among students, and the opportunity to think outside of the box. Tasks are no longer just about filling in a worksheet, they are about competing in a game. And this being said, thank you so much for your attention, and don't forget to play and to make the learning process a fun activity for students and to make them interested in what they are learning. Thank you so much, IDYM, for giving me the chance to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura. Let's give a round of applause for the fascinating presentation. And thank you very much for imparting in-depth knowledge on gamification, which can be used as a teaching method. We have also so many nuggets to take from you as you took us through the benefits of using gamification, like thinking outside the box. Learners, it's student-centered, and then it's more relaxing, fun, and children can make mistakes as they are the characters whenever they are doing role playing. You also took us through how we can adapt the games depending on the level, on the needs, on the subject, on the material that you want to pass on to the children. And then it also appeals to the visual, auditory, learners in our classroom, the kinesthetic learners in our classroom. And also, thank you so much for giving us all those different games that we can use, the quest, the find the word. There are so many games that you shared with us today. And I heartily agree with you that learning through play is very important in our children's lives. Be it in pre-primary, primary, high school, children can learn through play. I know that when we were young, we used to play house and we would give each other responsibilities. You are the mom, you are the father. So it would teach you also those responsibilities. And then you touched a very important aspect of gamification, which is active learning, because children learn by exploring, they learn by analyzing, they learn by evaluating. And just like our former speaker, Kovanti, who talked about using the different senses, gamification also makes use of the different senses. It can appeal to most of the senses that we can use. I can't say more, otherwise I'll dilute your presentation, but it was an amazing and thought-provoking presentation as usual. I have seen you presenting in many conferences. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you. We got all the information. Thank you. All right. Now, I would like to check whether my brother is here. Idym is not here. Do we have anyone else who can share with us? We have Neil Amlondi in the house. Are you able to share with us a few words about gamification? I'll ask questions in a moment. Laura and Mem Govandi, I'll ask a few questions concerning game-based learning and gamification. Or Dr. Iman, yes, thank you, my sister. You can share with us today.
Hello, my lovely sister.
Thank you. Hello,
Hello.
I can hear you. Yes.
Thank you. Today we have a very lovely moderator that I love. She is my lovely sister.
Thank you.
I am being as assistant if anything is done, but alhamdulillah, everything is running more than excellent because you are very clever. Really, you moderated the day in a very lovely way. Thanks a lot for your great efforts. Also, I need to thank our great speakers, Dr. Sharvari. You added a lot to our knowledge. Smiley, smart lecture. Really, I love this. I hope if I return to the school to be learn from your side. Thanks a lot. I'm very happy by listening to this highly motivated lecture regarding Dr. Laura. Thanks for talking about gamification and games-based learning. Really, however, I am a phytochemist as a regular academic staff member at Faculty of Science, but every time I'm trying to change the way of learning and educating my students. I'm very happy to listen from your side as this smart and very simple but highly qualified lecture. Thanks a lot. Really, you added a lot to our knowledge by simplifying the way of teaching. I'm very happy to listen about game-based learning. Every time I am focusing on active learning and inquiry-based learning, but now you touched a very important point, game-based learning. Maybe I need to apply in the academic world. I'll be crazy because here in Egypt, some people are not acceptable to such things, but I'm trying to modify. So I'm very happy to listen from your side. Sorry for my bad voice because I am slightly sick. I'm so sorry, but really I enjoyed both lectures. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Dr. Laura and Dr. Sharvali. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, my sister.
Thank
yes,
you.
I
Appreciation to all of you. Really, you changed the day. Appreciation to all of you. Well-organized lectures and containing a huge amount of information. I think many educators are in a real need to listen to this way of education because all of us in a real need to modify our way of teaching. It's a very clever educational methodology. Thank you very much again and again. Really, I love the both lectures. Really, I love the both of them. And also appreciation to you as a great moderator also. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Thank
Give
you.
a smile.
Yes.
Give a smile for your students. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Iman.
Thank
yes, these ladies, they pulled it off today. It was quite a pleasure to listen to them, and also both their speeches brought very invaluable insights. And some of the games, some of them are new to us, and they've rekindled our enthusiasm to go and use some of those games in our teaching. So I would like to find out from you if we are talking about, gamification, game-based learning, if there are any challenges that you face when using games in education. Are there any of some challenges, whether to you, Laura Ma'am, or Dr. Shavari Govanti, are there any challenges in using games in education in the classroom?
May I speak, or Laura ma'am would like to speak?
You can speak. It's okay.
Okay. So the only challenge that I faced is class control, because most of the games, like I said, evokes a lot of enthusiasm from the children. And being children, it's quite natural that they will talk, they will make noise. So creating, really controlling the class becomes a challenge sometimes, because the class strength here is 60 children in one class. So even having a game in the class is a challenge which can cater to all the students. So that really becomes a challenge, ma'am. So class control becomes a challenge, and to modify a game in such a way that can involve all the 60 children also becomes a challenge. That is what, from my personal experience, I would like to share.
Okay. Thanks so much, ma'am. And Laura?
Yes,
Any
for
challenges?
me, yes, there are always challenges in the teaching process and in using games in the classroom. I found that one of the challenges for me is motivating all the students to take part in the game. So finding out what they are good at so that they can also take part in the game. Some students are shy, or they feel that they don't know, they aren't that good at that particular subject. They are not good when using English, and that's why we need to see what qualities they have and involve them in such a way as to make them show these qualities. So as I said before, maybe some students are not good at English, but they are good at drawing. Okay, let them, in playing charades, let them draw the word. Let them run around the classroom and find out a certain type of information, for example. So involve every student, because of course we have those students who are top of the class, and let's not make a game too accessible only for those students. So involve everyone in the game, motivate them all, and give them all the chance to be winners.
Okay, thank you so much for that comprehensive answering, both of you. And then I seem to be, just want to, maybe there are some viewers who might want to find out whether there is a difference between game-based learning and gamification. Are they one, or they are two different concepts, game-based learning and gamification? Anyone of you can.
So anything, any activity can be turned into a game, and a game can be used as a starting point for learning. So no matter how difficult the subject is, or what subject we are teaching, we can use something that, so gamification means using those those features which appear in games, rewards, a race, like the who comes first, the awards, the level of so which place a student has in that certain group. So this means adapting the lesson to making the lesson in the form of a game.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I hope that one has been is very clear. Dr. Iman, do you want to add? I saw your hand up, or you forgot to put it down.
Yes, my dear sister. Just I wanted to ask both of our great speakers that can I do this or apply this on the academic world, but on scientific basis, because I am trying to do, but from my side regularly because I love to do this, but I need to do it scientifically with academics, not in schools only, but I need to apply with my students because I think it will be better than traditional and classical methods. But I don't know how can I do because I don't have the basics. Can you advise me, please?
So with all ages of students, rewards can be applied. All students love receiving awards in the shape of recognition, not necessarily something given to them, but points, achievements. So the score. This offers them great motivation for learning. And for older students, the tasks can be more complicated, something that they really need to work on in order to achieve. And yes, receiving little stars, and completing objectives will be a great motivator for them. And the first step is probably explaining to them, like in every game, we have to explain the rules of the game. So these are your objectives. If you solve this problem, for example, you will get a point. If you apply this problem in a real life situation, you will get 3 points, so on and so forth. And then there will be scoring, there will be the reward that will make them more engaged. Have I answered the question?
Yes, sure. Excellent. Because I'm doing this regularly, not on science-based things, but I'm trying to do because I love to do this with my students. But really, in a formal workshop, I find hello.
Thank
in one formal workshop, I tried to change the mood. So I played a movie. It's a cartoon. It's Tom and Jerry. Where is my mom? I saw that some of attendees are above 50. They are very happy. A lot of smiles. However, I am serious. Before I said I am going to the next point. It's very, very important. Then I played the movie. They are very, very happy. I can't never forget their smiles. A lot of smiles. However, they are not students. They are not kids. But some of them are above 50 and 60. But very, very happy. So I think motivation and gaming is highly required and needed at all ages, but I need to do it scientifically because many things if we are in love to do it, if we will do it on scientific basis, so we can be clever in it. So I wanted to be more clever in this area. Thanks a lot, Dr. Laura. Thanks again, our lovely moderator, Dr. Ratika. And thanks a lot, Dr. Sharvar. Thanks again. I'm so sorry for disturbing you, but it's a very important issue to be recognized. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Then when you are talking about the playing of games, you said sometimes there's a chance of winning in a game, but there's also a chance of losing in a game. So when a child loses, how best can we motivate the children, especially when they're playing games? I know that when you're playing Monopoly, for example, it's a board game, someone might lose, but doesn't it then demotivate them that someone has won? How best can we go about it? To all our speakers, maybe if you can just answer.
Yes, it is, especially if it's a small child, then for a child to lose something is a little depressing. Every
Yes.
child wants to win. then here as a teacher, my role is very, very important about how do I explain to the child that winning and losing are two sides of the same coin. This is the best time wherein we can inculcate values in the children, that it's all right, be happy even for the team or even for the friend who has won, and you try your
Mhm.
best next time. We can also
Mhm.
guide the student, if it's a language game, we can also guide the student, help student. These are the areas that needs improvements, these are the areas where you lacked. So I think this will really help the child. Now if it's adults, it's very easy to talk with them, but to really understand the child and the emotions that he's going through when he loses, I think a teacher's role is very important about how you tackle that situation. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So that's in playing games. And then I just wanted to find out that yes, we have got different games that we adapt pre-primary, primary. Are there certain things that you consider before coming up with a game? I know that Mem Laura said maybe the level, the needs, the subject, and the material. Is there anything else more to add? Before you go into lesson? Are there things that you consider before including a game in a lesson? I don't know, maybe anyone can just, if you want to add on that.
If I'm
Hello.
not, yes, Patricia, ma'am. So, if you can just reframe your question, maybe I did not get your question. Apologies,
Okay,
but
you are planning a lesson, isn't it? And then you want to include a game. What do you consider before choosing a game for the lesson?
so for me, there are so many factors. There are so many factors. It is starts from how, when, which class, what is my content, can that content be delivered with the use of a game, what game, what modification can I do, what alterations can I do for a particular game that I have decided to plan in a particular class on a particular day. What are the challenges that I can face when I'm executing the game actually? So I need to kind of really sit and foresee those challenges. How do I overcome those challenges? So these are all the thought processes that really goes prior to entering the class and executing a game. So
Oh,
this
okay.
is, yeah.
Thank you so much. I don't know, maybe we are about to wind up our program because our third speaker is not here. Is there anything to add from our speakers? Anything that you think you need to maybe say goodbye before I talk to our viewers and our participants?
I wanted to add one more thing to answer the previous question. So, how do we deal with students when, of course, we play a game and someone has to lose? They cannot all win. What we can do, in my opinion, is to underline how well they played the game, what skills they used, and how they contributed to that particular game. Okay, you did not win the game, but you had such a beautiful description of that word, or you your role play of that character was simply amazing. Keep doing your best, because I know that next time you will be able to win. We need to encourage them and to underline, to emphasize their qualities, what they did well in that game. And
Okay.
yeah.
All right, it's okay. Okay, thank you so much for elaborating on that. I would like to now to say to IDYM, thank you for this platform. Yes, today we're talking about the importance of games in education, where our speakers talked about that the games increase maybe motivational levels of children. Games are engaging, they are fun, they include competition among students, which can also raise their level of motivation. We heard from our speakers that there are so many benefits that our children can get, even soft skills that are very important in their life. And then they talked about that some of the games, yes, they should be age appropriate. They look at before introducing games in their learning. There are some things that they look at. And for games, they are inclusive, and they force our children to step outside their comfort zone because they want to participate all the time, especially when you are doing role playing and assigning roles to our students. They are always eager to take part in all the roles. And games, like what our speakers said, they are student-centered, because it involves the children engaging in the games themselves, and the teacher is there to facilitate, to guide them. And games are very important, especially for critical thinking. Think about the game that Ma'am Laura shared, the quest, and think about the game Ma'am talked about, I Spy with My Little Owl. The child has to think critically before they give out the answer. And they also very collaborative. There's group work, there's teamwork. This is what we want our children, not to be learning individually most of the time, but also to learn from others. They socialize. It is important for their social development. It also develops their social skills. And then creativity. Yes, children are involved in games. Sometimes they make their own games, construct their own games. They have to be creative. Even coming up with answers, it needs a lot of creativity for you to create those answers. And then games, those games also have got immediate rewards. Because some of them get stars, some of them they get encouraging comments, positive comments, which make them to move on and make sure that the mistakes that they have made before, they can also improve on the mistakes the games also boost their self-confidence. You heard our speakers talking about debate, you heard them talking about public speaking. So it also boosts their confidence. There are a lot of benefits when using games. And then they can also mention that games can be used for different purposes, as an entry ticket to arouse their attention, and then in between lessons to reinforce their concept, and then as an exit ticket to allow students to reflect. You had Ma'am Laura talking about the races that they use sort of as an exit ticket to a lesson. And then they mentioned also different games, board games, video games, all the games that they mentioned, they can be used even when you are on internet, even when you don't have any internet, you can make use. So they can be used anywhere at any time, whether you are online, whether you are offline. And then they also looked at determining the purpose of game-based learning and how best you can do. And you had Mem Govante talking about that before she introduces a game to the children, she has to play the game herself so that she can check on the alignment of the game with the learning goals that she might have. And then also she's checking on the teacher control of the content, on the engagement level, and also if she wants to adjust or tweak a little bit for games, she can also do that. And they also mentioned that the game should also meet the expectations, especially of our students, and also maybe from our parents, just get a buy-in from other parents and from other staff. And then games can also be used in different levels, whether primary, whether secondary, whether high school, whether university. We had Dr. Iman talking about that we can use it also for adults. We are used to playing games, so games can be played by anyone. It depends on what you want to play with. And they also talked about challenges of classroom management. Yes, children always want to fight for games, but maybe when we use it properly, sometimes we can control the class. So thank you very much, ladies, Ma'am Laura and Ma'am Govante, for giving us an in-depth knowledge of game-based learning and gamification. We hope you are going to come back, especially for our NEP programs that are starting very soon. I would like to hear more from you, as you are very knowledgeable, and I learned quite a lot. And thank you again, IDYM, our CEO, Dinu, and we want to thank Ravi Shankar, the technical team, and everyone who is on the IDYM platform. We are there to learn because learning does not end. We advocate for lifelong learning. We are there to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn as well. Thank you so much, ladies. I hope you're going to have a good weekend, as we have already started with a thought-provoking session. Thank you so much. Let's give our speakers a round of applause. You did very well today. Over to you, technical team. Thank you.
My lovely sister. Thank you very much for really, I'm very proud to have you today. Thanks a lot. Really, you did amazing work. You are super. Thank you again and again. Thanks for our lovely moderator, Dr. Patricia. Really, you did amazing work. Congratulations for your success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Iman. You are my support. You are always a pillar. You are always there.
I am behind you, my dear sister. Yes. I'm behind you. You are my lovely sister. I'm behind you. It's my duty.
All right.
It's not a favor.
Thank you.
Most welcome, my lovely sister.
Thank you. Get well soon. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for IDYM. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I end now?
Yes.
Is it okay? Can I end now? Okay.
Yes,
bye-bye.
You can end.
And namaste and saluti. I don't know in Romania you are saying what, and I don't know. Dr. Pratica, you are greeting by saying what, Dr. Patricia?
We say when we greet. In our language.
In India, namaste. For example, is it right? In India,
yes.
namaste.
Yes. Namaste. Yes. Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Yes.
In your country, you are saying what?
In Shona, we say Makadini, or in Portuguese, boa noite. Good evening. I'm at a Portuguese school.
which is not the buna in Romanian. Very similar.
It's very similar. Oh my goodness. It's a small world. Maybe which language do they say in Romania? One wait. Which language is that one?
Romanian, not the buna. Not the buna.
Oh,
Romanian.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
So,
goodbye.
And buna and goodbye. And in Arabic, مع السلامة. مع السلامة.
Oh, lovely. مع السلامة. All right. Ma'am Salema. Okay.
In Egypt, Salema. Like bye bye. As bye bye. Thanks a lot. You did a great efforts. Thanks for IUIM. Really, they are doing amazing work by inviting such great speakers and moderators.
All right. It's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you so much.
Goodbye. Thank you, IDYM.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. I'm very grateful and thankful to all of you. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.